Hi, I'm Christine Goodwin. Welcome to Customer Discovery, a Lean Startup workshop brought to you by Skill-Up VA in partnership with Fred Exchange and Germanna Community College. Today we're going to talk about customer discovery. Customer discovery is the process that we go through when we're first starting out with our startup to figure out who are our customers. And we're really setting the stage here for not so much what we think our great idea ought to be when we become a multi-billion-dollar company, but more importantly, we're setting the stage for getting people who can help us understand how to get our solution to their problem right. So one of the first things that we need to really think about when we're looking at our Lean Canvas is who are our customers? And an easy way to think about them is to first think about what problem are we solving? And you want to get really clear when you're thinking about this problem, and you really want to write it down. You want to be very specific, because ultimately your problem definitions become the basis for these little experiments that you will run to really capture metrics to understand if the people you think are your customers are people who actually have the problem that you've defined, and more importantly, if the solution you think to that problem that you're putting out there is good, is actually great for them. So when you're using your Lean Canvas, on the right-hand side of your canvas is really where we're looking at market fit and determining who is our market. And so we really want to pay close attention to the customer segment block of our Lean Canvas. So what's a customer segment? It's a group of people, it's a person, it's a type of person. It can be a number of things. It can be a business, it can be a small business, a large business. The key about customer segments is that you have to be incredibly specific. So a lot of times what we'll see with first-time entrepreneurs is that they make this mistake. Our customer segments are people with children in 5th grade. So how do you instrument those customer segments with metrics? You can't. There are a lot of different types of people with children in 5th grade. They have lots of different types of children. They have lots of different types of problems. So if you want your customer segment definition to be of value to your Lean Canvas and ultimately to set you up to determine what your real value proposition is, where your solution and your problem fit are concerned, you have to be very clear. So you want to break a customer down so discreetly that you can name that person. So you want Mary, who's 35. She's a mother of 2 children, ages 7 and 10. She works part-time and her total household income is $85,000 a year, and she volunteers at the local animal shelter. You want to know what she does every day, you want to know what she cares about, and you want to know how that impacts her decisions around her children in 5th grade, and you also want to know what influences her decisions. And the only way you can get very clear about that is to be very specific about Mary, or by extension, any other customer segment that you would define. So, where are your customers? One of the things that we really like to socialize heavily when we are going through a Lean Startup process with our startup founders is this: get out of the building. You need to go find your customers, and you can't find them when you're sitting behind your awesome desk writing things on paper. So what does this mean? Typically what it means to start is you have to have an idea of where they are, and that's a big space now. So they can be in the real world in the parking lot at Target, or they could be on the soccer field while their kids are playing soccer after school. They can be on Facebook, they can be on Twitter, they can be on Pinterest. Your job is to really figure out where they are, how you can reach them, and how they can reach you. And some tools that you should be thinking about using when you're really trying to discover, are they your customer? Are things like interviews and surveys, focus groups, webinars, free trials if you have a product. Let's say you're a startup that's not a web-based, maybe you're selling peanut butter and jelly, right? So maybe what you want to do is put some samples of your product out there for free and really watch, listen, and engage with your customers to see how much they like your peanut butter and jelly, because if they love it, you're onto something. If not so much, maybe you need to figure out what they don't love by asking them. So when we really are thinking about the importance of customer segments and customer discovery to determining product market fit, again, we need to be very clear about who our customer is, and when we're thinking about how we engage them when we get out of the building, we want to make sure we're capturing really strong metrics. So in the case of our peanut butter and jelly example, we'd want to know, for example, what were their favorite flavors? What types of bread did they like it on? How likely would they be to spend any money on this? How much would they spend? How often would they use our product? And you can't get that information if you haven't, prior to engaging with your customer, created some tools that allow you to quickly capture the answers to those questions. So get out of the building. It's the best way to determine product market fit. So when we go through this process of customer discovery, the key that you want to really remember is that these are small little experiments. We're going to be very scientific about this process. So we want to really understand, how do we structure a pass-fail test around our customer segments? And what I mean by that simply is this: how do I know if I've hit the mark with my customer or not? So in that process of reaching them through Facebook or having interviews or doing focus groups or giving away free trials, we want to use some real things. We want to do mock-ups. We want to give product samples. We want to do demos. We want to really think about how can we get that customer interacting with our solution to their problem. And we want to be really fast about it because people are busy. People don't have a lot of time. And generally speaking, if even that process takes a lot of time, what you're telling your customer is that ultimately the product that you bring to market will probably take an investment of their time. And if it's a lot of time, the chances of them using it are slim to none. And so as you're going through this process of designing these experiments and these pass-fail tests to determine whether or not that person is your customer and whether or not the solution you're putting in place solves their problem, you want to really be sensitive to the fact that these have to be small, very discrete experiments. We're not trying to solve world hunger. We're just trying to figure out what they like to eat. When you're going through the customer discovery process, a couple of things that will really help you focus in on the whole process and your execution through this process are, what do you want to learn about your customers? Who are they? What do they look like? What do they care about? Where do they live? What influences their decisions? What decisions do they make? And how badly do they need the fix that you're going to put into the market for their problem? And you also want to really focus on how will you know? And this is where metrics come into play. And the way you can really get metrics is to put a minimally viable product, a really small set of features that demonstrate maybe the top 3 things that you think your solution will be to the top 3 pain points in their problem space into the market quickly. And it has to, again, be very simple. It has to be easy to use, and it has to be instrumented so that they can give you information that helps you figure out how to help them with the product that you're putting out there. So again, what do you want to learn, and how do you know that you've learned something? It's all about metrics. And the best way to get metrics is through an MVP.